All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. Okay, going to be talking about Roger Waters' worst move this year. Has nothing to do with politics, all right? I'm going to be talking about what he's up to musically speaking, and it falls into a category. Is it a good category or a bad category? Anyway, before we get to those questions here, Crossing Rubicon. Somewhat progressive, mostly melodic, hard to categorize. Really enjoyed this album from last year, and I think you'll like it if you're a progressive rock fan or a melodic rock fan, because it does both things and it does it really well, does them very well. So the singer in this is the current lead vocalist for The Babies, that band that John Waite used to be in. I'm not sure if the Babies are still active, but when they were, the gentleman who sings for this project is their lead singer. And he sounds a bit like John Waite at times, which is pretty hard to do. Now, you know what's hard to do, okay, is to mess up one of the greatest albums ever recorded, and I'm talking about Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, t-shirt sales alone of the album cover would support your retirement well into the future, and someone else's retirement, and several thousand other people, okay? I'm seeing t-shirts all over the place with the Dark Side of the Moon triangle and the prism and so forth, and the colors. It's just crazy. It's a whole cottage industry that has developed around one album, one classic album. In fact, some people, not me necessarily, but it's hard to argue against it, some people might think that Dark Side of the Moon is the greatest rock album ever recorded. Now you're going to get arguments from people who like, I don't know, Sgt. Pepper or Abbey Road or, you know, Led Zeppelin 4. I mean, there are some amazing albums out there, and you get bored actually talking about them. But Dark Side of the Moon, why would you mess with that? Well, this year is the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon, and Roger Waters, who I've defended here and there regarding politics, but at times I think he does take his rhetoric a little bit too far. He has mentioned the re-recording of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, or The Dark Side of the Moon. Waters revealed he was re-recording the 1973 album back in February, and now he's shared a snippet of some music on Instagram, alongside a video that reads DSOTM and Redux. The short song clip appears to be the build-up to the album's final song, Eclipse. This isn't the first time Waters has shared a tease of the re-recording. Back in March, he posted a clip of Us and Them on Facebook and explained his reasoning for re-recording. It's turned out really great, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it, he wrote. It's not a replacement for the original, which obviously is irreplaceable, correct? So why do anything? Why put out another version of it? Anyway, he explains it here, but it is a way for the 79-year-old man to look back across the intervening 50 years into the eyes of the 29-year-old and say, to quote a poem of mine about my father, "We did our best, we kept his trust, our dad would have been proud of us." He added, "It is a way for me to honor a recording that Nick Mason and Rick Wright and Dave Gilmour and I have every right to be very proud of." Well, he mentioned David Gilmour here without saying any harsh words about him. The album it's like, okay, the Beatles, which of course the Beatles aren't all here, but say Paul and Ringo got together and they decided they needed to re-record a Beatles album. Pick any of them, but say, yeah, I want to reenact Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. People would say, yeah, go ahead. That's a great idea. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Look, I don't see a need to do this. There's no purpose in it. This is cashing in on an album that is making you a ton of money every year. And look, I will have, more of a fine-tuned judgment when this comes out and I can hear it. And I'm probably going to say, why? Why did you do this? I mean, these guys were all in their late 20s back in 1973 and really in their prime as far as singers and songwriters and players, and that comes through on this album. Did he call Alan Parsons to say, hey, Alan, you want to help me out here? I'm trying to redo this, and I'm thinking I need, some firepower. I'm guessing he probably didn't. And Alan was there, and that's one of the reasons it came out so good. But just, it was like lightning in a bottle, all right? It's hard to get lightning in a bottle, and it's just too good of an album to kind of mess around with. So those are my perspectives on it. I mean, you may be thinking, hey, I'm bored. I don't want to hear Time again. I don't want to hear any of these songs. I don't want to hear Breathe. I don't want to hear any of it. You know what I want to hear is a new version of it. So you're going to get it. And it's going to be Roger, right? I'm assuming Roger is singing all of it or most of it. Now, he probably has some female singers for those parts because there are quite a few of those on this album. If you go back and listen to the original, it's just such an atmospheric, I don't know. I've listened to it from start to finish. One time I listened to it in Dolby Atmos, and, little hairs in the back of your neck, they start standing up. You're just like, whoa, this is just so good. Now, I don't know if they've tampered with the original production of that album at all. I worry that they do more than just clean the audio up and get rid of some of the background hiss to try to extract all of the music out. And then do they kind of tweak it? I mean, the AI problem is only going to get worse as time goes on. And that's why I say, you know what? If you find CDs or LPs out there of this caliber, you might want to buy them, because that might be, an artifact, an original recording. And as time goes on, I think it's going to be harder to find original recordings, because the smart people are going to say, well, we can clean this up and we can make it better. This is the Steve Austin of Dark Side of the Moon. We can make it stronger and bigger and faster. No, I don't want that. I want the original. If you want to make the original sound really good, have at it. Go for it. Knock yourself out. But I don't like this remixing, and it's the 2023 version of Dark Side of the Moon. Anyway, this is going to be Roger Waters and his redo of Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, did he ask Nick Mason to get involved with this? I bet you Nick would have helped out. I'm sure Dave Gilmour is probably like, no, sorry, dude. Those two don't get along so well. So anyway, folks, not sure what you think about Dark Side of the Moon. I would leave this one alone. It's just too big. It's too much of a landmark to mess around with it. And I guess if you're Roger Waters, you can. So we'll see. We'll listen. And then I will have my review of that right here. All right. So a band that is original music. They're not redoing anything. They're putting out new material. Crossing Rubicon. This is their album Perfect Storm. Kind of goes along with a Dark Side of the Moon theme a little bit. Doesn't sound anything like that kind of music. There are some progressive tendencies there, but mostly melodic and very listenable and very enjoyable stuff. Check it out, courtesy of Frontiers Music. Also, don't forget about Modern Retro Radio, modernretrofm.com. I'm thinking they'll be playing the new version of Dark Side of the Moon, because they do play the new stuff by vintage artists like Roger Waters. So even though this isn't new material, well, it's old material done in a new way, and my guess is they'll probably be featuring something off of it. Maybe something that really doesn't sound like the original, which that's going to be another interesting facet to this. Will he just try to play it straight, or is he going to do like a real weird makeover to it? My guess is he's going to do the latter. He's going to do a weird makeover. I know he's speaking throughout a portion of this album, like the spoken word portion of it, which I don't know if I like that either. I just want to hear the music, Roger, you know? Maybe he should stick to politics, Roger Waters. He's 79. I think he's proven what he needs to prove musically, but we will sit back and listen with bated breath or, bated eardrums, whatever it is. All right, people. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. See you soon.